So this horrible shooting in Texas, in Uvalde, Texas, just incredibly, I mean, more tragedy than the human heart can hold. Children wiped out by this demon-infested guy. And right now, as I go on the air, people are arguing about the police. Did the police go in? Were they, were they cowardly? Did they hold back? Should they have acted in a different way? And I'm not going to talk too much about that because the answer is we don't know yet. We do not know yet. And I find it very dispiriting to see the rapidity with which even good people react to information coming in from a chaotic news scene, because I've covered chaotic news scenes and I know that information changes over time. I'm not defending the police. I'm not attacking the police. I do not know yet. And I've read all the stuff that's coming in, obviously, but I do not know yet whether or not they acted badly or acted well or acted as well as they could or what the situation was. All I'm saying is when I see people on Twitter going, I'd take a bullet for those kids any day. And if you're a cop, you have to, you know what? Even heroes get pinned down by gunfire. I mean, so we don't know. Maybe they acted badly. Maybe they did all the wrong things. Maybe not. But at least let's try and wait until the information. All of this stuff is dispiriting. It's dispiriting to me that we can't. I mean, this is such a tragic, terrible thing and a complicated thing. We can't even wait an hour. A day to have mourning, to say we are sad about this. They make fun of the right wingers for saying thoughts and prayers, but that's the first 24 hours as far as the public is concerned, because there's nothing. I mean, if we who don't know these children are grieving, imagine what is going on in this town. I mean, like I said, it is more sorrow than the human heart can hold to see these children shot down in their schools. So the right thing to do is to, ask questions and seek info and, have some kind of patience with our emotions and our sorrow. And instead, what scumbags do, what dirtbags do, what lowlifes do is they ride the emotion, because that's what all this is about. All the anger at the police, that uninformed anger so far, all the screaming and all this, it's all about the fact that we feel helpless and we feel sad and we feel angry and we want to take it out on somebody, and so we do. And that's what dirtbags do. What dirtbags do, lowlifes, they ride the emotion to get the things that they want. Like this guy, this is cut 31.
The idea that an 18-year-old kid can walk into a gun store and buy 2 assault weapons is just wrong. What in God's name do you need an assault weapon for except to kill someone? Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on, for God's sake. It's just sick.
Yeah, I mean, they want our guns. We get it. We've heard this a million times. Can you not wait? Can you not wait a few hours before you make your political play? Because we know this is an issue that we're going to, and I'm going to talk about the issue. I'm going to talk about that specific issue. But still, can you not wait a little bit? And it's this idiot, Beto ORourke. Somebody, I think it was Politico, I accidentally called him Beta. And they said, no, we're issuing a correction. It's Beto, not Beta. And I thought, are you sure? Because really, this guy, he's running for governor against Greg Abbott in Texas, and he needs some camera time. It's not going well. So there's an informational meeting where Abbott and a couple of other officials are giving information about this horrible tragedy. And Beto, unbelievably to me, he pulls a campaign stunt. This is cut number 6.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Sit down. You're out of line and an embarrassment. Sit down and don't play this stuff.
Shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. But that's because he's not really thinking about what the situation is. He's thinking about himself. And, I think all our politicians are thinking about themselves. Just a little bit of feeling, a little bit of human feeling, a little bit of nonpartisan human feeling. They keep saying, Joe Biden, he's worried he can't unite the country. You're damn straight he can't unite the country because he's a dirtbag. He's a terrible person. He's always been a venal, unprincipled, terrible person. And now he's an unprincipled, terrible, venal person who's the president of the United States. So in all the emotion, what I'm talking about is losing the facts, right? Greg Abbott talked about this. This is cut number 5.
I know people like to try to oversimplify this. Let's talk about some real facts. And that is, there are, quote, real gun laws in Chicago. There are, quote, real gun laws in New York. There are real gun laws in California. I hate to say this, but there are more people who were shot every weekend in Chicago than there are in schools in Texas.
That's exactly right. I mean, that is just a fact. That has nothing to do with the argument over guns, but it's just the actual situation. I believe the number is 275 children. 275 children have been murdered, slaughtered, killed in Chicago this year. And this is Chicago has some of the tightest gun laws in the country. Black kids, mostly killed by black gangsters. And that, obviously that narrative doesn't work for the press. So those kids don't exist. Those kids are just erased from the national consciousness. Whereas this horror in Uvalde is a good narrative for them because they can go after guns and nobody really is going to care about whether this guy is mentally ill or whether we need mental illness services. Nothing about that. Just saying it's complicated. That's all. Just saying that these things are emotionally charged, but you've got to get past those emotions to deal with the real problems. Plus, we've had these big guns, these automatic weapons. We've had them for decades, and we haven't had these kinds of shooting. And what has changed? I mean, it's a good question. What has changed? I'm always telling you the future is male, that when you see a profession being taken over by women, that profession is about to become obsolete. And it's not a hit on women. It's not because women are no good. It's because the men have moved on to the next thing. When women become film directors, you know that the movie industry is basically dead, right? Because boys have moved on to playing video games. When women become news anchors, the TV news has become irrelevant. And again, it's not because the women are not competent and can't do it. Is because, if you hear a child say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this cardboard box. I'm going to line up 15 cardboard boxes. I'm going to make a ramp. I'm going to take my skateboard and I'm going to take that ramp and see if I can reach Mars. That's a little boy. Now, I know you're going to say, but my daughter would say that. I'm just talking about the odds. I'm talking about the bell curve. That's a little boy is going to say that. Little boys are like that. They take risks. They're crazy. They dream up with these stupid things. And that's where the future comes from. So when you tell boys that masculinity is toxic and maybe we can cut off your jiggly bits and make you a girl, and porn is great, and a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, and children don't need fathers, what are you, some kind of sexist, and there's no God, and you can't have Boy Scouts, you can only have Girl Scouts, and boys, become enraged and alienated. That's what the future is going to look like. We've had 60 years of this kind of feminism, and the fact that men are angry, and I know men are angry because I talk to young men all the time who are not crazy, who are not demon-ridden, who are not going to shoot anybody, but they're all angry, and all the women are miserable. I mean, I see this all the time with young people, and it's like that is a problem in the culture. But still, all of that, what about the guns? So this is what I mean. What problem are we trying to solve? There's a guy named Robert Kelly, Robert E. Kelly, I think it is. He has a blog, and he teaches overseas. And he says, no matter how he explains gun laws to foreigners, they think we're nuts. They think we're crazy. And none of them wants to have guns the way we have guns. So I had this experience the other day. I was called up by a new British conservative TV station, GB News. And they had me on their show. A presenter, the anchorman, is named Colin Brazier. Very smart guy, very decent guy, concerned guy, a real person. And I really like him. And so I thought, I'm going to really explain this to him. And I explained it to him, and he could not hear it. And this is what I said to him, all right? I said, Great Britain, wonderful country. I lived there 7 years, wonderful country. It's the size of Minnesota. Its population is maybe twice the size of California. So we have 25 Great Britons in this country. And they're not 25 Great Britons filled with British people. They're 25 Great Britons filled with people from all over the world, all of whom would happily, kill each other if they had a chance. All of them would happily enslave their neighbors if they had a chance. No matter what color they are, it doesn't matter. When this country was founded, people said, rightly, no republic of that size has ever survived. Look at Rome. Once it grew to a certain size, the republic fell and it became an empire. It became run by an emperor. The idea of a federation of states was supposed to guarantee the freedom of individuals by protecting the republic, by protecting the power of local government against the federal government. That was Madison's insight. He said, a big republic doesn't have to collapse if there are smaller republics, 50 smaller republics or however many there were at the time, with competing interests, that will keep us free, right? That's what is going to keep us free. So when they decided that the U.S. had to have an army, that the federal government had to have an army, people reasonably said, well, then if they have an army, how are we going to defend our states? How are our states going to have any power? And the idea they came up with is the Second Amendment to the Constitution. That's why it's about militias, right? It is about the fact that if the people have guns, the states can form militias in this terrible, disastrous situation to fight the federal government. People are talking about it all the time, not just on the right, on the left, everyone saying, wow, we're so divided. Are we going to have a civil war? Well, if we're going to have a civil war, we don't want only one side to be armed. If we're going to have a civil war, that's the way it's going to happen. God forbid that should ever happen. But that's what it's for. So when Joe Biden gets up and says, deers aren't wearing Kevlar vests, for God's sake, he's not talking about anything. He's not talking about the problem we're trying to solve. We're trying to solve the problem that our boys are alienated by 60 years of feminism and guns are available because these guns are not incidental to our system and our freedom. They are essential to our freedom. And this is what the fellow Colin on this British show couldn't understand. He kept saying to me, I understand why you have a shotgun for pests and a pistol for self-defense, but why do you need these automatic weapons? They are in case. They are so we can form a militia in our states. Now, here's the thing. It is okay to say, I don't like American freedom, the idea that the little guy is sovereign. I said to Colin, your queen is your sovereign. You're looking at our sovereign. I am our sovereign. The people, the person is sovereign in America. You may not like that system. You may not like federalism. The left doesn't like federalism. The left wants all the power accumulated in Washington, D.C., so they can bring on the great socialist paradise that they're going to bring on. The right doesn't want that. We want the system that was formed to keep the individual free, which is the federal system. You can say you don't want the federal system and therefore we should get rid of the guns. What you can't say, right? What you can't say is we love America. We love the American system. All these people complaining about America, all these people who think that the American system stinks, they're based on America. Their country is based on America. Their country is as Republican as it is, as democratic as it is because of America. When America was formed, there were no other constitutional republics in the world. Now everybody, including people that aren't republics, call themselves a republic because our system was so successful. You can't say, I want that system, but I want to get rid of the guns. You can't do it. Same with the Electoral College. You can't say, I want the federal system, but I want to get rid of the guns. So the problem we're trying to solve is how to keep people safe and preserve our system. The left does not want that system, so they're lying about what problem we want to solve, whether we can solve it, what the costs are, and whether we want to pay those costs. The cost for getting rid of guns, which I'm not a big gun guy. I'm fine getting rid of guns, but in a general principle. But the cost of getting rid of guns is losing our federal system. And if we lose our federal system, we lose the sovereign people. Then we have the people in Washington, D.C. doing what they want to do, which is making the rules for all of us. The disease comes through, they're going to close everything down because they know they don't have to deal with the consequences. We have to deal with the consequences. It's an incredible transition to a bright new world of shiny socialist perfection. They've got it all figured out. That's what they want. That's not what I want. I'm for the guns. I want to keep the guns. And, that means people are going to get killed. This is a violent country. That means people are going to get killed. And no, do I think, you want to say to me, well, even one child's life is more important than the republic? And I would say to you, you know what? I want to protect those children any way possible. Let us find a way to protect them and preserve our federal system, which preserves, in turn, the freedom of the individual, this unique thing that has never existed on the face of the earth, the only new political idea that has been ever had in human history, this idea of Republican government keeping the individual free with the sovereign individual. It's the guns that keep it. You can get rid of the guns, and American-style freedom and the federalism that protects it will be gone in 10 minutes. If you love this content, and I know you do, like and subscribe, and also subscribe to the Andrew Klavan Podcast.